Hi everyone. Today in our episode of Intellectuals, we have a very interesting guest. I will give you a short introduction because most of our conversation will unravel who this person is. He has a lot of anecdotes and experiences to share with us, which we will bring out part by part. So we have with us today Jackson Mathew, or as I fondly call him, Jackson Bai. He is the managing director of Leetha Industries. The company itself is very unique, but what makes the company unique, what makes the business unique, we will come to a later part in this talk. About Jackson Bai, he is a man of varied talents, many talents. He's a jack of all trades, but at the same time, he's a very unassuming person. For someone who's trotted the globe and has very interesting facets to his personality, is someone who's so humble and rooted and so practical. And today, what we're going to do is explore a lot of these facets with our audience. It's as usual, Intellectuals is going to be a, a very informal, casual discussion, but uh, it will be a cerebral discussion with some depth and a lot of heart. Okay, so Jackson, welcome to Intellectuals, and we're very happy to have you here as a guest. Okay. So my first question to you, Jackson, is that you were born into a business family, or let me put it this way, a family of business. But from what I know, things weren't always so rosy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, can you tell me the last maybe 20 years? How did you and Leetha Industries reach the current position that it is today? Can you give us a bit of a backstory? എന്താണ് ലാസ്റ്റ് 20 വർഷം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ
Yeah.
കുറേ വർഷങ്ങൾ ജാക്സൺ ബൈയുടെ ഒരു
Last 20 years probably means when I'm like 30. I would say it last 25 years. So I finished my college and definitely there was an urge inside me to come into business. So at that time, my father was taking care of the business and we were into carton manufacturing. So like printing, carton manufacturing. And so my brother also came back. So
your younger brother. There are two of you basically.
Two of us. So we knew, we discussed, we are like thick friends, more than friends basically, not like a brother, we share everything. So we knew that this small business will not take care of us. It was such a small plate for us to share. So we wanted to expand our business. Or rather, the profits were so meager. I didn't find, this would churn out to be. It will end up not in a very pleasant style. So we knew we had to move on and develop into other activities or expand. See, there was no plan B for us because we knew we had to survive, and if we have to survive, we have to expand. So it was cotton manufacturing. So when I first came here, Kerala as such, it's a small scale industry setup. So cotton manufacturing means it's like 1,000 cartons, or like even 1,000 carton order would be treated as a big volume. Whereas probably outside the world, it was minuscule. But we knew, and we were so bad in our packaging. In fact, for example, cashew nuts. Some of our raw material is cashew nuts. Tea was packed in plywoods. So probably we had the best products in us, but our packaging was really, really bad. So we thought we could upgrade that. And we tried our level best to get more printing into it. So we both sat down and we thought, we would get.
You and your brother.
Me and my brother. We thought, we should be a cut above others.
Yeah.
So we had to bring in technology. So we started exploring and starting. There are two aspects of cotton manufacturing. One is the strength which gives the protection to the product. And second is the aesthetic side. Like strength, people had no clue about this. So we started bringing in machines, studying, learning, and how to get the strength part of it or give sturdiness to the material. So innovated a lot of ways to do it. And secondly, on the aesthetic parts. Now, for example, if it is an egg that has been shipped, the customer has to see the product. So it should have offset printing. It should have all those gloss effect and all those things. So we diverged into those ways. But when we do something, there are other companies that is catching up. So we need to be a yard
ahead of them
always.
Correct.
So it was a constant endeavor for us to develop and new products. So that is how carton manufacturing. Then there came a fine moment where we had to make a call. This is not the business. We need to switch on to some other line. So then we went to gravure printing, offset printing. Then we knew, then again, we have geographical advantages. That is, for example, Kerala, rubber, tea, coffee. So when we called it rubber, we looked at, my grandfather used to say, we had to develop a business that is so natural to the environment. For example, we cannot make cartons for tobacco because tobacco is manufactured in Andhra Pradesh, North India. So we need to develop our
cotton for our indigenous.
So we knew there were surgical gloves was manufactured here because the rubber trees were here. So we developed our products. So that's how we went to cotton. Then finally, that is one by one, we ditched some products. And curry powders were there, so we need to make a packaging for them. Then slowly we came into paper cups.
So was there a lot of competition in this carton space?
Obviously, there's a lot of competition.
So just to recap what you were saying, Jackson Bhai, is that at one point in time, the family had looked at the business we were in very closely and decided this is not on a scale which is satisfactory to us.
Absolutely.
Is what I hear. And so how do we move to the next level? How do we make our prospects better? So what came in there was dissatisfaction with the status quo and you wanted to take it to the next level. You tried a lot of things. But all this happened in Kerala. So my question is, would you perhaps been still in the carton business if, let's say, you were a business that operated out of a Bangalore or a Bombay or a Delhi instead of a Kerala?
Yep. See, Kerala is very unique. We need to look at Kerala as the highest, and Kerala gives the highest wages. Okay, it's like 600 or 800 rupees.
So when you're saying that, I see a lot of. That's a very diplomatic statement. Let me say why. You're not saying that is a good thing. You're not saying that is a bad thing.
Yes.
You're saying Kerala is giving.
It's unique.
Yeah, it's unique because obviously it has a positive impact for people who are earning those wages. But at the same time, for a business, it may not be competitive.
Yeah, that is where we need to manufacture products that can sustain these wages.
Okay.
You cannot manufacture cheap products with these wages.
Understood.
So we need to make a product. We need to think about a product that actually requires these wages.
Very, very interesting perspective. What you're saying is normally they've already set their minds as to this is the business I will do, but the wages are not sustainable, feasible for us, and therefore the business economics don't make sense, and therefore the business may not get or exit. What you're saying is that if you have to maintain these wages, we have to, as businesses, we have to go up the value chain.
Absolutely. It is, here it is 800 rupees, a wage is 800 rupees. Our standard of living is high. There is a reason for that, 800 rupees, because the land is expensive. density of population, very expensive. If you look at the density of vehicles per
One of the
thousand
highest
people,
in India.
highest in India. So the standard of living, if you look at anything, that is very high.
I've also read somewhere that the per capita expenditure, that is the amount spent by an average resident of Kerala, is comparable to the highest in the, even to the metros in the country. If I think it is in the top three.
Absolutely. See, look at Kerala. I mean, if you look at the number of hospital beds per thousand, we are like above almost 18 European countries. Almost 18 European countries. A standard number of doctors per thousand. So we have a wage structure.
So a minimum standard ഉണ്ട്.
Definitely.
Okay. അത് താഴെ പോകാൻ പറ്റില്ല.
No, it is impossible. It is impossible for that, to get. So the wages are there, taxes are more, everything is more. So you go on making a small, low quality carton or low quality paper cup or whatever it is. It's not going to compete with Bangalore or any other place because there the wages are very high. Okay, so the land itself, so expensive. So basically, people are telling that, Kerala is new, industrialization is not possible. May I ask you, I mean, is industrialization on the width of the roads, that is the benchmark for development? No, it is a standard of living, isn't it? So if you have a standard of living, the wages has to be high. And definitely, and if you want to give that much of wages, you cannot produce cheap goods. Percentage, 10 rupee product, you get 20% margin, is like 2 rupees. And you have to make a product that is about 1,000 or 2,000 rupees and get the same 20% margin, then it is good. So you need to choose that.
So, by some might argue that there can be two arguments to this. I can produce low cost goods at huge volumes, provided I have the market conditions. That will still help me offset these or absorb these high wages, one point. And obviously a lot of automation, keep my variable costs low and so forth. The other point is that even let's say you move up the value chain, are these, for the first factor, the market conditions or regulatory conditions, are these conducive, actually in your belief, honest belief, are these factors conducive for businesses in Kerala?
See, every state, everywhere. See, for example, here, the regulations are very tough. It is not that easy to bypass regulations. For example, if you have in Dubai, or Dubai or Emirates or wherever other countries, for example, if it is in Ireland, if it is in the regulations, waste dumping, waste management, all these has a cost for that. Probably that is, that may not be that expensive in other parts, probably. For example, recently I was talking to a fisheries, an owner of a fisheries gentleman. He was telling me the problem is that he gets all the shrimps. He has to process it, and he cannot flush out the waste to the Vembanad Lake because Green Tribunal has fined 100 crore rupees for polluting Vembanad Lake. But what happens if this process is done in some arid place where there is enough space for centrifugal plants and such things? It would be profitable there, isn't it? So here again, everything is strict basically. So via media is not possible. That is one thing.
And okay, understand strict regulations. What about, and I think this became famous with, this is always known in Kerala. Very interesting fact is that everybody talks about Varivelpu, the movie.
Yeah.
But even prior to that, do you know that Mani Ratnam's first movie was a Malayalam movie, And it starred, I think, Sukumaran and Mohanlal. Maniratnam's first movie was in Malayalam. It starred Mohanlal. Yeah. And the movie's name was Unaru.
Okay.
And it was against militant
Trade unionism.
trade unionism, the labor movement. Extreme, basically they brought out the evils and the perils of the corrupt extremist side of things. Obviously, there are a lot of positive benefits and ramifications of the trade unionism, empowerment of workers, like you said, minimum standard assurance. But there's also the negative side, and that was, in fact, I was very surprised to know myself that there was a movie that explored the topic. It was, I think, the early 80s. And then, but the movie that took it to global awareness for the Malayali, which they could connect later, is very well. That movie is, people cite it to be a timeless classic because it is still relevant.
Absolutely.
If you go to Facebook, you still see clips of the movie. People still quote from the movie. They say nothing has changed. More than 35, 36, 37 years have passed. They say nothing has changed today. Okay, forget the fact that, maybe a business of your scale can still thrive. You've probably crossed over the turbulence. What about people who want to set up? Is it investor friendly? Is it labor friendly? Is it business friendly at a particular scale? I mean, even the large scale, the Coca-Cola fiasco, even recently there was news about the settlement and all. So that is, I don't think it is my opinion alone. I think that is verified fact. Isn't that a thorn on our side, an eternal thorn on our side? Is there any point being diplomatic about it or avoiding the topic? Isn't that one a glaring truth in the face of Kerala?
The problem, I'll tell you, you're probably right, but this militant trade unionism is there in Germany. It is there in France.
Correct. I agree.
It is there. It is, and probably, I'm not sure about the United States, but it is there, of course. See, why we have to think why this developed. See, if you it is wrong to say that there is no change. I remember during my old days, one of my factories, this Leetha Industries, was closed down for 2 years.
Wow.
This Kalamasheri unit. And during those days, when my father fought this, you could, it was so natural to see, thatched Samara Pandalegal. Everywhere there used to be some of those.
They used to set up
camp there. Yes. That was there. That was so prevalent. And you could go travel by bus. You could see them now. That is strike on this strike on that strike on. And that has considerably changed. Basically, one of the reasons for that is that now, before you fire a driver or a person, you tell them you have hit my car, so this is very bad. The next moment he says would be, sir, this is the key, I'm leaving, bye-bye. He goes away. So we have to go back to him and tell them, come on, don't worry, come here, because there is a shortage now.
Forget the car driver. So
the point is basically, now things have changed, and it is so absurd to say that it is still the same. I'm contradicting you.
Fair enough. Yeah. But I'm sure Mr. The respected Mr. Sabu from Kitex would disagree.
But probably he might disagree.
And someone,
have you ever looked at his balance sheet, the Kitex balance sheet? How is the shares growing, and what is the profit of that company?
Yeah, obviously, he's indebted to the home state. Is the point? Is that the point you're making?
No. I'm telling you is that he makes. I'm telling you again. The problem with such products is basically not for Kerala. not for Kerala. That has to be in some places where the labor is quite cheap. Here, the minimum labor is so high, you cannot afford it. So I'm so surprised. Sabu is an excellent person. I know him. I know his brother. His business acumen is brilliant. But it is prudent for him to do business outside the country, outside the state.
Understand. So, I mean, let's not discuss the politics around that. Let's only focus on the economics. But let's look at someone in your boat, someone who earned his stripes, built his empire.
Sorry, no empire.
No, yeah, but okay. So build the business. Look at another example then, who's built his empire and brand the straight way, the clean way, and made it a known brand from India, just like Leetha has done, is V-Guard, Mr. Kochausep Chitrapalli. He also, I mean, I really respect, I look at Kochausep Chitrapalli as a business leader to emulate. And I'm not talking about specifically the theatrics of it, but specifically in terms of what he has done on the ground. I think there might be a few you can count on your fingers, and I think he ranks right up there. There might be people richer than him.
Absolutely.
In terms of sticking onto the most difficult market in India and making a national brand from Kerala, still sustaining it after 5 decades, is no mean small feat, correct? But he also frequently voices his opinion that this is still
absolutely
existing. And I mean, matter of factly, we are still, I mean, if a person had an option, let's say even if for that kind of a wage, to set it up, let's say in a Tamil Nadu, a neighboring state, vis-a-vis a Kerala, I think his mind would still
even
lean towards.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Correct.
Because this is not an industrial friendly state. This is not an industrial friendly state. No large industries or nothing can happen here. Because not only because of, I said, there are a lot of factors. You can just blame one item and say that is the problem. There is a whole lot of things to it. You know, even setting up, you know, for example, setting up a hostel canteen for us. It's so expensive for us, basically, because the health department would come them, look at what exactly is happening, and they are very meticulous. But they could get away with other states, probably.
Understood.
Okay.
So sometimes you're saying, nobody has talked about this, a very interesting facet. So what you're saying, you know, other than these stated factors, investment friendly regulations, what you're saying, a very key component of a successful business ecosystem is the regulatory body's ability to look the other way.
Absolutely. I feel
no one talks about that, actually. You're right. No one talks about that. There's a lot of business that are thriving because the regulatory bodies look the other way. I mean, that's a matter of fact. I mean, you know, but no one talks about that. The fact that perhaps we are too strict and we enforce it a lot is in
absolutely. Now, for example, we have to get the fire department approval. Just imagine, God's grace, I hope nothing happens. But you know, if in Kerala, if there is a fire and there is a death, I would be
held accountable, persecuted,
and
prosecuted.
And it is not only, I will be just made a killer. I mean, like a murderer. That is also a question. So you cannot just blame one specific politics or anything. It is the media. The people are so knowledgeable here, and they just so sensationally, they would make it so sensational, and people follow it.
Understood. So the same people are saying, you know, businesses need to be encouraged. Any business or they are ready to pounce on.
Pounce on you, and that will be fine, your end.
It's conundrum.
Absolutely.
Contradiction.
It's a contradiction.
Very, very interesting take on things. So the next thing I want to ask you about, let's go back to your business. And I've met your brother as well. So, you know, if recapping the earlier part of the story, how you wanted more scale. Uh, you did a lot of stuff and finally reached the current product proposition that you are on. A very interesting factor. It's about the interesting chemistry between uh, your brother and you. So I think I've told you this before also. To me, when I see both of you, it's like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a perfect combination of the heart and brains, the technologist and the visionary, the salesman and the thinker. Okay, so if one is the hacker, which is your brother, the other is a hustler, which is you. So I've mentioned this several
Thank you
times.
for the compliments.
No, not a compliment, but this is,
Thank you.
and I think that combo works really well.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me? I mean, there are big companies who really desire for this kind of a. See, it's not okay. Forget the equation of the chemistry, but the fact that you have these two components in place, and one cannot exist without the other. Correct. So you can have the technology, but if you don't have the wherewithal or someone to take it to the markets that need it, that business is not going to be successful. Similarly, if you have someone who's a great salesperson with all the contacts and he knows the pulse of the market, knows the needs of the market, but they don't have the R&D, the innovation to back it up, that also obviously will not. So it's a very nice combination. Can you tell me a little bit about this yin and yang that happens here?
Yeah, first of all, definitely we didn't, as I said before, we did not have a plan B. We just had to stick on to plan A. So we were compelled to be together in our ways, because we have two perspectives, as you said. I think in a different way, he thinks in a different way. Then that probably is the synergy, and definitely our family is very important in that aspect. We all stay together in what you call as a kutu, joint family. Though we have separate houses, we don't actually go there. So my wife, Don's wife, my mother, my father is a pillar of our family. So it's basically that is one of the biggest chemistry, the family ties. My son. So I don't know. We talk about our pastime is pastime of talking. It's not politics or anything, and probably it is business. And I tell my perspective to them. I tell them, see, there is a problem. The customer needs more insulation because his coffee is too hot to serve in this part of the world, for example, that part of the world. And this part of the world, the coffee is so thick, so it should stay there for 48 hours. So what has to be done? So I tell him this is the demand for the market, and I keep giving him questions, and I know this is what the market requires. And also we also look at my competitors' perspective also. So I tell them, see, this is what they have done, so we need to go a notch above them, definitely, because our competitors, like at a scale of like in 100, it would be like 90, 95. We are minuscule. So the quality aspect, we need to be a notch above them for us to at least present our products. So these types of discussions go on and on and on. And probably he is thinking and how to get the thing right and how to minimize the cost and all those things. And he comes up with a solution. See, Cheta, this is what it is. We can do something. Then I say, oh my goodness, I'm mostly an economic person. I said, oh goodness me, this is so much expensive. This machine, what you're talking about, is so expensive. Then we have a fight together and we are in loggerheads for a moment. And he says, this is needed. I say, it is not possible, because obviously we are not like, we are a tiny people, very small, not like Kochozeb or something. So our financial restrictions are there, So any development that we have to do has to be within our scope. Otherwise, we might trip and fall. So it's basically that discussions,
Understand.
that is probably.
Yeah. So what I hear you say is that there's a lot of bonding that happens in terms of common passions. I know about your experience traveling the world, and the second part is actual about the business and the product and the technology and the sales and how to make it better, is what you say.
Yeah.
And you over all bonding sessions, whether it's uh, the dinner table or anywhere else. This is what you discuss. So there's a common passion underlying, and I can understand that. That being said, I also want to come to the source of all this discussions is your business and your product. And for the viewers' benefit, let me tell you, uh, Leetha Industries, which is Jackson Bai's company, categorically makes the best paper cup in the world. I can say that because I've looked at the facts and I've looked at the story behind their product.
You said the best product, best paper cups in India, I mean, in the world. Absolutely true. Our cups are the best paper cups available in the market. Probably our scale of manufacturing is not up to the mark as like Huhtamaki or Dart or something. You know,
These are
yes,
American
companies. If you look at graphic printers, they make 1 billion paper cups a day.
1 billion a day.
1 billion a day.
Who are buying these paper cups?
Obviously, these, our per capita paper cup consumption is very minuscule when compared to the Americans or Europeans, because coffee is the one thing that makes them go.
Correct.
Basically. So 1 billion paper cups, and you should be, I don't know if the biggest manufacturer and the consumer of paper cups in America is America itself. They make their own paper cups. They don't import it from China, which is a misconception that all these cups from China. So they make the best paper cups available. Graphic printers, they are from Koch Industries. Then you have the Dart. So they are big companies. So we wanted to catch up with them. So initially we started supplying to local markets and Indian railways and such place. When there was a demand, when the plastic was banned, plastic cups were banned by Lalu Prasad Yadav in the Indian railways. So we had a small opportunity and we jumped into this and we started supplying to the railways. So that was our start. But again, what happens is, as I said, our competitors are there, they also put up these machines and see what we are doing. And there were hundreds and thousands of machines across the country, and that mojo was over. So we wanted to export it somewhere, We knew there's a big market there. Fortunately or unfortunately, we got a big client. And the reason... and
can you name this client or is it?
Yeah. The biggest client, in fact, it was Supreme Food Services. They are the biggest suppliers for the NATO forces and United Nations Armed Forces in Afghanistan, Kandahar, and Iraq.
And you supplied to them?
We supplied to them. Of course, there are a lot of middlemen involved, but we got the opportunity to taste the international market.
Okay.
And then it was at that moment that we knew that the foreigners used to have coffee like 600 ml and 450 ml. We were having like 150 ml chai and we were so happy with it. And it was so, mind-blowing for, but, we made those. Then again, I was talking to my brother and he said, see, Donnie, we need to make cups of this size. The Americans drink like this, you've seen the movies. Okay, fine. He was there. Okay, we'll make the molds for that. We made the molds and we started supplying paper cups. Fortunately, unfortunately, the war over. Hamara band bach gaya, finished.
Interesting.
Then we slowly went to international market. Then we knew that, the world was flushed with money. So it was like aesthetics that, they wanted their brand to come out. So we wanted printing in it, and the printing again, it has to be, unlike the cups that we get in India, which is all offset printed, it is not food grade. We had to get those international standards where there is no order, the food grade part of it, the paper has to be of this quality, it should not have harmful chemicals. So we studied all those things and we got the things right. Wow. We started exporting a little bit. Wow. Then came the huge issue of trash, sustainability, global warming, and all those things. So we knew ahead of time that this is going to happen. So we knew that technology has to be brought in. So again, there were 3 points. When sustainability came into, we have the great garbage trash in the Pacific Ocean, and the turtle
Correct.
having a straw on his
Yeah,
nostrils, and
aquatic life being affected,
all
and
those things came up in the BBC, and then we knew sustainability was a big, big, big issue. So we developed something sustainable. So initially it was like recyclability. So, and then came biodegradability, compostability. Then all sort of things had to be satisfied, genuinely satisfied. So then we developed this. Now our cups, 100%, it is no greenwashing. It is 100% recyclable. That is, you can just put it in a pulp, waste bin. It could be recycled and made paper again.
What is greenwashing? I just use that word.
Yeah, greenwashing. Basically, there are a lot of companies claiming to be, saying sustainable and friendly. In fact, they are using that word to market their product. In fact, they are not. In fact, they are not. So lot of things are happening. A lot of games are being played, and a lot of companies are making a money with this sustainability concept. So we
only the concept, not the
only
product.
the concept. They are not morally correct. They're not at all morally correct. And there is also a lot of things. There is also I'll tell you something. PET bottles. One important bottle. The government also, the media says PET bottles are bad. And if you see the newspapers, you see we have collected so much amount of PET. It's bottles basically. But do you know? Does the public know? Does the media knows? That is even better than Tetra Pak. I'll tell you, there was a news by a lame gentleman in the backwaters, in his Tony, little boat. Yeah. And he was collecting water bottles from here and there. Somebody saw that. And, he was doing such a good thing for the rivers, for the pristine environment. In fact, he got some award from the central government as well. So I went there and talked to this person, this particular gentleman. I asked him what is he doing? He said, Cheta, kuppi matra njan edukkullu. That means he takes only the bottles. One bottle is like 40 grams. That means he collects 25 bottles, he gets a kg of this material. And that is actually 35 rupees a kg. So what happens to those lace and all those things that he will not collect? Understand. So he
only collects what is profitable for him.
Yeah.
What makes
In fact,
sense.
sustainability classes has to be taken by the rag picker. The government should listen to the rag picker first and develop those things which are sustainable to the market.
Literally, people who are on the road know better.
Absolutely. And these companies trying to say all these things. Just one more thing. So this Lay's 100 grams. I think 100 grams per Lay's. That's almost 50 rupees. Okay. If you jump into these rivers, it will be all these laminated, unrecyclable, worst stuff. It's a laminated, it's a polyester, there is BOPP, there's LDP. It can neither be recycled to LDP, it is nothing. It is such a waste. And just imagine 100 grams of potato. What will be the cost of potato? 40 rupees a kg. That is 100 grams is just 4 rupees. Just imagine 4 rupees. Probably you add another 8 rupees. The Parle or Pepsi is selling that at 50 rupees. Why can't the government tax these things?
Yeah, anyway, unhealthy.
It's unhealthy and healthy is a different concept. See, they are trying to, the government or they're trying to emulate something, something which is practicable in Germany. If you go to Berlin or any other place, there are places where you could bring those plastic bags and put in the supermarket. This is not possible here. I would say
You don't have a system. We
we
don't have the
we need
infrastructure.
to
that-
have innovative system. We need to have an innovative system, and I would say a practical rag picking. Suppose you walk the road, any street, you will find these laminated pouches strewn across. The rag picker will not take it because there is no money for it. Just imagine if a school children is given 1 rupee for this thing, 1 rupee for these things, the entire place would be clean.
Yeah, I've read about these instances. Marina Beach in Chennai,
Yeah.
one of the most littered beaches. I'll not say polluted, but littered beaches. There's a huge civic sense. Substantial civic sense among its citizens there. Forget the visitors who come and litter all over the place. Occasionally, periodically, school kids, college-going kids, and volunteers come and clean up the beach, and bring it back to its pristine cleanliness frequently. I have not seen it.
Why
being
should
replicated.
why should it be a periodical? Why should it be sustainable everyday operations? Why should that be? If I could get a lace, or I'm not talking about anything laminated. I'm telling you, let us go for this Milma's plastic is good because that is LDPE, that could be could be recycled. So if every person becomes a rack picker, and he is given incentive, this garbage issue would be go.
That's right.
You understand? So my point is that I don't understand why we need to have a system. Kerala cannot emulate Germany. We have a huge population, and our thinking, we cannot just people has to be educated. The students has to be educated. The young people have to be educated and tell them buy only products that is laminate free, LDPE. Use and I'm talking. I'm sorry. I'm going the other way.
Absolutely. This is what we need to hear.
Yeah. So what happens is do you know that 99.9% of the paper cups that's being used in Kerala
are not paper cups.
Are not paper cups. They're plastic lined cups, and in fact that is banned. That is banned, and it is all being smuggled. And I recently there was a Brahmapuram fire here. And there was a cyclothon or something like that here. I was just I went there, a marathon or I guess a small marathon or something, And just imagine, coffee was served in plastic coated paper cups. They don't have a clue. I don't blame them because they don't have the knowledge. And there were Tetra Pak juice given. Which is Tetra Pak, basically is 3 layers of plastic and 2 layers of paper and 1 layer of aluminum.
Yeah, I guess Tetra Pak is the best marketeers in the world. The way they've managed to convince people that they are the most responsible and under the garb of freshness is remarkable.
And you get the feel. Recently, one of the very renowned priest gentleman for entire Cochin. Head of many institutions, I met him. I don't want his name him. And I said, he's not. He was actually traveling the other day. So I told him, Jackson, I just he is a regular, donates blood. So I just met him and said, Jackson, good to see you. Very good. No, I just came after donating blood. I talked to this fellow. He gave me fruity. I told him, why did you give me fruity? Then I thought, he realized that Tetra Pak fruity, he said, you should have given you should have given me coconut water, not fruity. Fruity, of course, that's paper. That is paper. That I agree. That's okay. Then I told him, Father, what you're talking is wrong. The juice is good. The paper, would you choose a PET bottle or a Tetra Pak? He said, no, that's paper, so that is good. He said, absolutely no. You should have chosen the PET bottle because that could be recycled. He was saying, so the basic problem is the knowledge,
Information awareness.
information awareness, and probably the media shows pet bottles and all those things
In a bad light.
in a bad
Whereas
light.
not talking about the
And
tetra.
nothing about laminates.
Hmm.
You go to a bakery, you go to this modern bread, that is 100% LDP. So why is the government not trying to tax these laminates and promote recycled products? It's not doing it.
So, Jackson bhai, ഒരു simple analogy ആയിട്ട് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ,
Okay, I have not talked about my paper cups.
no, I wanted, but no, this is a very pertinent point because I think many people don't know this. So it's like two robbers coming into the house. Okay. The less dangerous robber has come wearing his, his mask and his disguise, and the more dangerous robber has come in plain clothes. The house owner goes and attacks the less dangerous guy because he's more apparent. Whereas the other guy sneaks in and does all the damage.
Absolutely right.
This is something that, is news. So you're saying this is, I mean, at least there is a scope with certain infrastructure or practices in place where we can get recyclables under check. But things that are not biodegradable, not recyclable, that shouldn't be manufactured in the first place, not even being talked about, is what you're saying. And that is a bigger issue than actually plastic or whatever material that can be recycled. Correct? That's
absolutely.
In summation, that's what you're saying.
Yes. I would say we have to give, for example, another basic thing. It is not only with India. Europe is worse. Europe is even worse. There is something called the PLA, polylactic acid based lids, that cost 3 times or 4 times expensive. And there is no way to test in these things whether it is plastic or a PLA or anything. But they say you can print PLA and do it. But the plastic lids, that is recyclable, which is plain, HIPS, polystyrene lids, recyclable. So, and these PLAs, the PLA lids, which is 3 times expensive, the common people are being fooled. Where does it end up? That is the story. It ends up in an incinerator. I have traveled to Norway, traveled everywhere. They said, "No, Jackson, I need a PLA lids." I said, "It's 3 times expensive." I don't care, but we need to put we need to tell, I was in Core Park Stadium in Ireland. It's one of the biggest stadiums in Ireland, which they have their own indigenous Gaelic football and all those things, very famous. So it's all written there, green, all those things. I went to usually when I go to such places, I really look into the dustbins where this goes. So there is a green dustbin there. There is an orange. There is a black and all those things. So it's shown everything is green here. I talked to these people. So the lids, compostable paper, so-called these things are all going into this green bins. And I asked this gentleman, where is this going end of the day? Is it going to a compostable site? No, sir. This is going to the incinerator. You understand? They are paying 3 times the X cost to burn it. You understand? And where does this go? And we have...
what is the byproduct is burning?
Nothing.
Dangerous smoke.
Absolutely. So that is what in Norway says, we are basically green and all those things. Everything is being incinerated. And what happens to incinerated smoke? It goes to Greenland. And whereas there is a global warming. And there is a big problem.
My God.
You understand? So that is what is greenwashing. And they say, if you go to Oslo, 90-80% of the cars are green, electric.
What about the fossil fuel that is burned to create the electricity that runs?
May I ask you a question? Glass. Do you think, now I think, most of the hotels, glass bottles have come. In replacing PET. Actually, glass is more dangerous. There is a place called Shankargad or somewhere in Mizapur and all those areas where silica is basically taken. There is a writing by Allahabad University, one Mishra. all those places have been devastated. Silica mining, water table has gone down,
My God.
and the amount of power that is required to get these glass bottles done. And you go to your society where your flat is or where our flat is, the rack weaver will not take the bottles
Correct.
because it takes 3 times the energy to get a glass recycled. So I would say the best person to bring out the greenwashing is the rack picker.
Understood.
And the government has to, and the media
Involve
has to
them.
be taught. Media is also,
Okay, they're all good. I mean, new information to me that, the common villain to take away attention is a PET bottle. But the threat of Tetra Paks, the threat of laminates, the footprint, resource footprint of your glass bottle, these are stuff that people don't know. And the scale of greenwashing you were talking about is not just about business and brands, but countries
absolutely.
on the whole. So, I mean, very funny because at the moment you were telling me about the so-called green substitutes costing 3 times the money. So, they literally, I mean, in a way, they are burning the so-called green substitutes and they're burning their money also.
Absolutely.
Huh?
And we complain about the big heat, hot, it's so hot.
Yeah.
So basically this knowledge has to go to the children, to the media first of all.
So what I understand is a 3-pronged strategy, I mean, an approach from your side, Jackson Bhai. So just to summarize, you're saying, obviously the infrastructure, the processes, the organization needs to set up in every society to, number one, educate, to bring out processes, whereas, this can be recycled effectively. What can be avoided can be avoided. The last bit, what you also said, is the civic sense that needs to be inculcated among society. That is a very important factor. I think only if you have civic sense in combination with the first two, not just government, correct? I think the people also needs to.
Yeah, absolutely right. And one more thing which I want to tell them, the people who take decisions, for example, what are the substitutes? For example, I met one of the pollution control board gentlemen in another state, not Kerala, another state, which he said, paper cups should be banned. I said, yes, paper cups should be banned. So what is your substitute for that? I said, my paper cups, my paper cups is recyclable, biodegradable, home compostable, and marine safe. You throw it, a fish would eat it. So you need to do something. No.
So what you're basically saying is the paper cups you think are paper cups need to be banned, and you need to.
This technology, we are ready to give this technology to the. We are ready to give this.
So coming to that, Jackson Bhai, I mean, the current. I mean, you told us one disadvantage of substitutes. Obviously, the laminates, not many people know them. Talked about the environmental harm they create or they cause. What about the physical harm they cause? So if let's say I take a paper cup with a laminated paper cup, which I think is a paper cup, 100% paper cup, and I pour hot coffee in it and drink it. What is the chemical reaction that happens
if you look at, now we have ChatGPT and all those things, there's no migration. I mean, that is not allowed. That's all a story, basically.
Okay.
For example, we could say that, we are eating plastic. Then what about PET bottles? You can see that, of course, a long time, if you keep plastics, water in a plastic, there could be.
But surely, I'm sure these laminates will not be able to sustain structural integrity at high temperatures, correct?
No, that is wrong. I've seen those Instagram pages, one person is telling it is coming off, plastic will go leak into the. See, the basic test has to be done. That is called the migration test.
Okay.
If you pass the migration test, fine. That's what it is.
But what if you don't?
I know.
Then it's dangerous.
That is dangerous. And more dangerous, I'll tell you, the more dangerous is the ink they use for printing all sort of stuff.
That's another good information.
Yeah, of course, yes. But one cup goes inside another, isn't it? And it's all offset printed. And that is the most dangerous thing.
Carcinogenic?
Obviously, it is carcinogenic. And they say they have done soya ink and all those things. It smells and stings. You understand? So there is, and the problem is not that the authorities, they should be asking us on how, because we know the world. They should be asking us.
So you are at the cusp of cutting edge technology innovation in this area. They should be consulting the people
Absolutely.
who know.
They should be consulting the practical people instead of coming up with some theories that for example, PLA, the so-called plastics derived from cornstarch. That is central government and the state government and most of the governments say that is a substitute. The point is that PLA is, and they say it's biodegradable. PLA is not.
What is the full form PLA?
Polylactic acid.
Okay.
Polylactic acid is something, it is a substitute of plastic, basically. Substitute of plastic. It's 3 to 4 times expensive. Okay, forget it. But this is a misnomer that PLA is biodegradable. I am telling that PLA is more dangerous. The reason being, they say it's compostable and biodegradable. PLA can be composted only in an industrial composting site. That is, you need 60-degree Fahrenheit, 60 degree centigrade and moisture and all those to break down those molecules. The funny thing is that the Indian government is promoting PLA, but there is no industrial composting sites in India.
So you're promoting a substitute without the infrastructure to process it.
Absolutely. And you see, go to Lulu or you get PLA bags now for the vegetables. Where does this end up?
Same place.
Same place. you go to a,
it's funny and scary at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. And one more thing is that, you go to a housing plot, I remember I got a society there, and I made some hue and cry of, separating vegetables, the dry waste, wet waste, batteries and all those things. And, some of the most educated people, they'd still throw everything in one bin and give it back. And I made such a hue and cry. And finally, we make these doctors, engineers and all those people to segregate and give it.
I don't think sometimes it's a lack of awareness, Jackson. Sometimes it's just pure laziness and apathy.
Yeah, I do agree with you.
I mean, there's no way on earth that doctors and engineers and, people in IT companies don't know that you have to segregate waste and which is compostable and which needs to be recycled and which needs to go to a landfill, which needs to go to a recycling. And there is no way on earth that these people don't know. Then it's just apathy. Absolutely.
And one more thing is that, we did all those things. Finally, Ram comes. He gets all this segregated. And what he does is he puts everything in one thing and he sends it. So what has happened? When I went to Brahmapuram plant, when the fire was there, I also went there to see that. There were batteries there.
My God.
You understand? Plastic, everything was there. You need only a spark to get all those things burnt.
Correct.
And it is easy to blame someone and, say, okay, the government has done it. And why don't you point your fingers to yourself? There is no running after a big burn and health hazard. There are people running marathons.
People should stop saying you and talk about us.
Yes, absolutely. We talk about all these things. We talk about all these things, and there are people who take plastic coated Pepsi and cups and Pepsi and all. They don't even think about it.
So Jackson bhai, in this era of this existence of material that are not environmental friendly and the so-called greenwashing, the substitutes which are all mostly shams, tell us a bit about Leetha paper cups. Why is it the real deal? And what is the technology that goes behind it?
Yeah, see, what we do is we have a dispersion coating technology which we developed in-house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was made in Kerala. It's made in completely technologized. My brother did it.
Correct.
Number one, it is almost the same value. The cost is the same as plastic line cups. Number one, they're safe. For the sustainable point, it is 100% recyclable. Plastic line cups are not recyclable. It's compostable. That is, you could just put in your, compost. It would just degrade.
So I don't need a special infrastructure,
nothing.
plant, nothing.
You have some.
I can put it in my.
Yeah, obviously you cannot put it in a dry sand or something and expect that.
Correct. Wherever there is
wet, there are worms, there are
organic life.
All the organic life, they would consume it. We have got videos for that. We have got tests done. And secondly, third,
anything happens to these earthworms or nothing?
I think they get
healthier. Okay.
There's nothing. It's basically, number three, because we give a coating that is, we give a specialized. It is not the coating basically. It is the way we coat it that makes.
Application.
And the grams. For example, LDP is like 25 grams per square meter is the lining that we give. We just give just 2 grams.
Wow.
We just enough to protect the pores of the paper,
just to make it work.
fortify it. From that is what we do. There's
Wow.
basically no coating as such. If you go to your website leetha.com, there are a lot of videos and all those things, FAQs. You can go through it.
Yeah.
You can actually go through it. So we developed something which is biodegradable, marine safe, everything. So it is like, you could be a litter bug, you could throw it somewhere. No worries.
What happens when it falls into a river, lake, pond, or ocean?
Probably it would just dissipate and microorganism would eat it. And I have got videos where goldfish is, chewing it off.
And again, they put on weight. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And this is something that you uniquely manufacture, and a very interesting part about Leetha is that you export to the world, correct?
Absolutely.
So, can you name some of the companies or countries that you exported to?
Yeah, we export to almost 25 countries. Currently, more than paper cups, we export this technology even to China, Taiwan.
No, wait, stop. Even to China?
Absolutely, yes.
You are a company based out of India, based out of Kerala, and you export to China.
Yes, we export the raw materials for this coating to China.
Wow.
Yeah, we in fact we are thinking of a turnkey project. Now we are talking about putting a plant. My brother is actually talking with the plant in Philippines, where this technology is inevitable anyway. This technology is inevitable because it saves money, it saves energy, power, everything. So this is a low, because the amount of material that used to make a barrier proofing is very little. So this is the technology. So that has to go. But we don't have much of a presence in India basically. But we do supply to a lot of companies like Costa Coffee and Coffee Day and all those are cups, which is completely biodegradable, recyclable, microwavable. It is called all the boxes ticked. And countries like, this is the raw materials we supply mostly to the UK, Europe, Americas.
Wow.
Yeah. But very
quantities. Specialized technology, but you haven't scaled up to the quantity. So, I think the next conversation you should have is with Mr. Elon Musk. I think he will be the person that you need to talk to about that it's bringing to the world. I didn't know any of this. I mean, this is actually, quite a number of feathers in your cap. What are the plans to actually scale up and take it to the next level? Are you happy where you are? Because isn't there a certain societal moral responsibility to actually take this to the world
Actually, the government also has to support us. The government also should understand that there is an option, and they should also say, because they would say, no. We have got certificates from across the world, Intertech, 6000 ASTM. There are a lot of standards.
You were talking about earlier that the highest standards have you've made sure that you achieved all of them.
Yeah, of course.
Those are some of the toughest standards in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we need to get for example, Americans for biodegradability, there is like ASTM 6400 for that is aerobic biodegradation, anaerobic biodegradation, where the bacteria doesn't use oxygen to break down the product, the waste, the paper cups or whatever. So then we have IS 17088 certification. See, every country has got different certifications. Then we need to have a safety certification from TUV. These are not acceptable in India for your information. They say no. We don't care about all those things. We require this certification. So the government has to come forward and give a proper directive.
So, Jackson, we're moving to a much, some practical points, softer points, practical more. Let's keep aside business and the politics and the regulation side. If let's say there's a young entrepreneur who wants to start, what are the 4 or 5 things in terms of advice, because uh, the practical wisdom or knowledge that you've gained, from whatever I've understood or from all our interactions, not these theoretical constructs. They're very street smart based, practical, useful
Mm.
uh, wisdom that you've gained, correct? So let's say someone who starts, what are the, or someone who's in business, what are the, you know, up and coming businessman, entrepreneur who wants to make his or her mark, succeed, obviously. In business, is always 50-50, especially someone who's starting, correct? So about 60%, 70% of businesses fail. What would be your 4 or 5 interesting
Yeah,
tips?
I don't know. I'm still not. See, I don't know whether those are the successful points. I don't know because I'm not. I'm still not in a view that I'm still successful. Basically, I think I have miles to go. Miles to go. A lot of hardships still. I can see that in mind.
The higher the road, the higher the vision, bigger the obstacles.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. That is true. That is also I'm seeing a lot of turbulence also going forward. So I cannot say myself as a successful person, but I have got certain ways of doing my business. Basically, one thing which I think a businessman requires is punctuality,
Hmm.
which is so rudimentary in outside world. For
Correct.
example, it's 10:45. It's 10:45. If you cannot make it, at least call and tell them that I got 5 minutes, 10 minutes late. That is rudimentary.
Hmm.
Then systematic. Don't forget. And of course, you need to be very fast in your response. Very fast in your response. These are the 3 things I think I do. I get a mail, I don't wait. I can't even sleep without answering it properly or finding out the points
Hmm.
that is required before I sleep. That's important. Punctuality. That's here. I don't know. You go to any other countries, basically. Then I don't know about the countries that I travel. If it is 11 o'clock, I make sure that I'm there at 11, 10 for 55 at least. That's very important. But that is not at all kept in India. I don't know.
Correct.
That is one important.
I mean, I think we are infamous or legendary for this habit of ours world over. The fact that they call it Indian Standard Time. And I think these lessons are very unique because I think you can owe them from your interactions with these representatives of companies that are based abroad, and the importance and emphasis they place on timeliness and uh, correct way of doing things, the correct response to correct communication, swift communication. They don't take their own sweet time. You can't butter them up. It needs to be to the point. I think there's a system that works, correct? So I think in the Indian context we can glean a lot of lessons from these so-called Firangs. Obviously our culture has many strengths, but when it comes to timeliness, punctuality, discipline, communication, I think these are lessons we can draw from them, correct? Is that what you're...
Yes. One thing that I'm not telling you every person abroad or every Firings what they are like this. But the people, I said, it is from my perspective.
But the system over there is
Yeah.
more or less like this, correct?
Yeah, more or like this. Very definitely. Every country has got
Its flaws and
yeah, of course.
benefit.
You go to Australia, much more of a laid back atmosphere.
Understood.
Much more laid back atmosphere. You don't need to wear your cufflinks or anything. But if you're in Germany, probably then you need to have all those
Prim and proper.
Yeah, prim and
dressed
proper.
to the T.
Yeah, absolutely. Sharp and such things. So, but these days things are, after the COVID, I think
things are
everybody's little lazy.
They understood maybe there are bigger things
Absolutely.
that matter in life.
That has changed a little bit, I guess. About one more thing which I wanted to say, earlier, I've seen certain people, very hard bargainers.
Negotiators.
I don't think that is relevant now.
Hmm. Why is that, Jackson Bhai?
Because I don't know whether I'm supposed to say, but I have some certain categories of people. They just bargain like anything and reduce the price, and then their concept. I believe this is my concept. I believe, and they are termed to be more, aggressive businessmen.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you, I I sell. I give, this is this is material. This is I'm selling it to you. You say you want it at $100, and I say this is $150. Probably a one-time business, because I have a constraint. I might give you at $100 because if there is a requirement. But constantly you cannot go there. I would say, oh come on, hell with it. I would go to some other customer. So before it was like, certain, I am not supposed to say about a religious people, a sect of people which have experience abroad as well as in India. A certain sect, a class of people are hard bargainers and they attempt to be big businessmen. I think that is not the case now.
Why has it changed? How has it changed?
Because I would, before there was no other option left. Now the world is so connected with internet and such things. I would say, I'm supplying to $100. You ask me $100 for this material. I would actually look for other sources. Before, earlier times there was only a money lender. We had to give him our product.
Correct.
So as and when things are changing and the world so interconnected, that concept is
now changing a lot.
Change in I feel it.
Okay. Which is a good thing, correct?
I guess so. Before it was like, hard bargaining.
So now it's, I think, so you're saying it's a more equal kind of relationship, more win-win rather than
Yeah,
one person.
otherwise, no, yes, you're right. It's a more of a win-win situation. Otherwise, the business will not last. You should win, I should win.
Correct.
And
nobody should necessarily lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point in doing business as well.
That is one thing which I have noticed. I'm a very bad bargainer, by the way. I find, I'm okay. Yeah. Somewhere or other, we get our cut. Yes.
Okay. So Jackson bhai, I've you're a businessman version of Santosh George Kulangara businessman, because you've traversed and if I can use the word globe-trotted to a lot of places, obviously mostly due to business, but and inevitably you would have experienced different people, languages, cultures, cuisines, habits, so on and so forth. Can you tell us a bit of those experiences? For example, if I were to put it rather specifically, which are the countries that you really found unique, you really loved visiting?
Yeah. In fact, I don't know whether I've never been to a proper holiday.
Correct.
I think just one holiday.
irony. You traveled, but you've never taken a holiday.
One holiday, proper holiday that I've taken abroad is with my wife, maybe about 10 years back. 10 years back with my wife, my brother, again with my brother and his wife. So we four went away and we did a little bit of for a week. Easter holidays. And I've gone to Africa, almost all the continents. But every place that I went, I did not go as like a Santosh Kulangara. I was always had
business in your mind.
Business in the heart and my mouth. I went everywhere because I need to get those orders so that my factory runs. So that is always, so you don't really enjoy all
that. That is the overriding objective.
Absolutely. So I never enjoyed. But of course, globe-trotting has happened. And that was inevitable. You asked me a question where exactly I would love to go again. I would across, some of the countries I might not be able to go again would be Syria, Damascus.
Unfortunately. We shouldn't also, because owing
Y-
to the current
yeah.
situation. Yeah.
So that is a good place, basically. That I would. That is a place, I would say a paradise probably. Once I was there. Okay, that is a good place. Get the best meat,
Mm.
and big the fruits are so big, strawberries, potatoes are so big, everything is so, and the water flowing in the middle of Damascus is so pristine clear, and I really loved that place. I don't know, I don't know what the situation is. My friend, unfortunately, he's no more. Hamid Al Nasiri, one person was there, he's no more. He had taken me to these orchards, the big oranges and all those places. Very good. And again, I went there. I remember the day when I landed there, this particular person came to collect me in one of the few old BMWs from the Damascus airport. When I landed Damascus airport, it was like dark, no lights, nothing. So I was just telling. So when I was traveling from the airport to Damascus city, um, this chap, I just look back and I saw a full, maybe hundreds of coffee cups, small coffee cups. They have like, murky coffee,
Mm.
and he drinks it and he throws it back. So it was like, 100, 150, 200 cups of coffee.
You would almost think it was alcohol. Huh?
Yeah. And very beautiful ladies. I remember calling my brother and said, it's like Katrina Kaif serving you morning breakfast. Everybody is so beautiful and everything is so looks so good. Maybe the buildings are all rotten down. So that
Let me see if tickets are still available. Yeah.
And that was one good experience. I would never. And I guess the shawarma that you get there, I think that is the place where the shawarma was.
The authentic original.
Yeah. And there was a big restaurant also.
Mm.
I don't know if still there. So that is one place. Okay, the rest of the place, Europe, everyone is all the same.
There's a lot of homogeneity there.
Absolutely,
Very
yes.
differentiation. Any other countries from the Orient, like say Japan or
China is the best.
Okay. But everybody has been to China. What about have you visited Japan?
Korea is good.
Anything interesting about Korea? Because now it's a huge craze among youngsters after all these all male young
But what?
pop bands and gay bands and all. So anything interesting about Korea? What do you like?
Gangnam.
That was, I think, your era, 10 years back.
No. Gangnam is a place in.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Gangnam, the actual place.
Actual place. Yeah. Gangnam was a.
You were there?
Yeah. And that is a good food, and if we go more of a grill and food is good. I really like those places.
How's the people?
People are really good. I'll tell you, and very friendly also, and a lot of fanatic Christians also.
In Korea?
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
A lot of Christians, kind of fanatic Christians, different sects of Christians, and the people are, more like a Japanese culture. And because, Japanese, I would say a little more, I've got a little more of a superiority complex.
Mm-hmm. I can understand. If you look at also the history of all these countries, Korea, Japan, and you can understand why would they
about these what do you call that, comfort women and all those things.
Correct.
So they had the superiority complex. That is why.
So they might not have let it go even if they are on a back foot after all these years.
Yeah. So that is there. So Korea is much more much more a refined
society.
A refined society, and also has got that meticulous way of life. Basically, you don't talk on a train. Just don't say hello in the train.
Isn't Japan also very simple?
Yeah, but Japan is simple. But here, as I said, it's a little more. I guess it is
slightly even more.
Even more. Something and totally different from China. And again, I am not like I travel by bus and I travel by train and
public commuting and transport.
I prefer that. Probably strings of my purse. I really want to. Then you get to know about.
Correct. Actually, what the flavor of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And among all your travels, have you ever faced any kind of subtle or explicit racism?
Yeah, there is racism everywhere, obviously. Even in India, racism,
Correct, correct. I think
the
Indians are the
racism,
most racist. We
absolutely.
are the most racist to each other.
Hundred,
Despite all what we
yeah,
claim,
yeah, yeah. We are
and
a Madrasi and
yeah, and
yeah,
Mallu and
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is there.
Northy and vice
So,
versa. And I mean, so
that is
that's
there.
true. But I think, but we're obviously we practice a lot of racism, but we're also the biggest hypocrites because the moment someone does it to us, we kind of cry,
Yes,
that
yes.
we've been,
Yeah, yeah,
attacked and
yeah.
so on and so forth. But we don't mind it when we do it to others. There's something that is very unique to us Indians. But nevertheless, what kind of racism have you experienced? Can you give us an anecdote?
Oh, definitely. I was, I wanted a particular company
Hmm.
to business, and I targeted that company that was in Australia, and I was so persistent. I went there to this particular lady, the purchase manager. She did not even let me into a meeting room, and I was told to tell whatever I had to say. Uh, you know, just in the reception. I traveled all the way from here. Probably I was just, finally, after a year or so, I got their biggest business. That's a different story. But I felt so humiliated that I had to show my presentations and all. This is what our company is, this is my cups and all those things. And I could see, probably she had a very bad day
Day,
that day,
probably, yeah.
probably, but she should have at least given me at least a glass of water,
Basic,
at least
basic
to
courtesy.
sit somewhere. The moment she saw me, she said, "Okay, Jackson." Yes, I said, I'm Jackson. You had told me to come at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm here, so I was expecting at least her, show me a seat at least to sit down. So that was harrowing. I could not sleep that day. So that has happened. But things have changed now. We have got at least some stature now because
Correct.
China plus one theory has come. So it is
And you also back the business at the end of the day. So all's well that ends well.
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess in the long run these things don't matter. It just makes us tougher.
I
Correct,
know, of
Jackson?
course, yes. And this is a good thing.
So, anything else you want to add, Jackson? I hope. I mean, this was a very invigorating, uh, illuminating, enlightening talk for me. I hope it was the same with you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you touched a lot of topics, Jackson Bhai, on how you built your business, your product, what makes it unique and superior, the struggles, some of the struggles, then what's happening in terms of environmental responsibility today, what is the role of the government, what is the role of us as a people, then the experiences, some of them you narrated traveling these countries, all of them, make very good listening. And I think anybody who listens to this episode is going to be informed. And there are a lot of interesting factors, നമ്മൾ ഓബ്വിയസ് ആണെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്ന കാരണങ്ങളല്ല അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫാക്ടേഴ്സ് അല്ല എന്നുള്ളത് കുറേ പ്രാക്ടിക്കലായിട്ടുള്ള എന്താ പറയുന്ന ഒരു ലൈറ്റ് ഷൈൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് ജാക്സൺ ഭായ്. സോ അത് വളരെ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കുറേ ടോപ്പിക്സ് ആണ്. സോ എനിവേ താങ്ക് യു ഫോർ യുവർ ടൈം ആൻഡ് കമ്മിങ് on this podcast, Jackson Bhai. And I think this is only the start for you, because in terms of where our country is, where our planet is, your role or your company's role is just about to begin, is what I believe in from all that you said. And I wish you all the best and all the success in abundance. Thank you for being here, and we enjoyed having you on our show.
No, thank you. You were also really good. We were transferred. I had thought about sticking to a plan of my paper cups, but I think I hardly spoke 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes of my product. Basically, I traversed through different scopes, different areas. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, Jackson.